Pathmaker channel. My name's Ryan. I'll try and put out some videos. I know time's short, so I'm going to put out some videos about some different rapture dreams or some different dreams that I've had, just kind of revealing where we're at, that I feel like where we're at in human history with being the terminal generation and going home soon. So plus I'm trying to put these videos out so that family members can see them, and that way I don't have to repeat it multiple times. I'm just having to say it once. So this is a little bit different dream. It's a dream about just, I feel like, some encouragement, if it's for other people, but myself. And this one I had was a dream that I had with my dad in it, and my dad's been gone since February of 2014, so he's been gone just a little over 7 years. It's kind of ironic, especially because there's a 7-year tribulation coming up. But anyways, this dream was a pretty short dream. It was pretty simple. I live in Florida now, and this dream was back near home where I used to live in Atlanta. And I was at a kind of like a football stadium, like the concrete, bleachers that were going up at a high school. And the weird thing is, though, is that they weren't straight, like on one side of the field. It was actually kind of curved, like kind of like an amphitheater, like for plays or concerts or whatever. And so here's the weird thing about the dream. It was like a birthday was going on. It was like it was an anniversary going on, a wedding, a special event. It was like it was a combination of all those things. It was kind of weird. And so it started wrapping up, and it ended, and some people were getting up from the bleachers and on the field, and they were kind of leaving and moving along, and I was just hanging around. I was standing on the ground looking up at the bleachers, and all of a sudden my dad's standing beside me. And usually in dreams, my dad doesn't do a lot of talking in my dreams. He's mainly just there, and maybe nods his head or say a few words, but this has probably been the most he's actually said in my dreams. And this one's been pretty recent. This was maybe a week or so ago, but it was a little over a week. And in this dream, when he was standing there, he said something to the effect of, they don't have any idea that this was the last time. And I was like, the last time? He said, yeah, last time for a birthday, last time for an anniversary, last time for a special event, last time for a wedding. And so I repeated it back to him. I said, this is the last wedding, this is the last anniversary, this is the last birthday, this is the last event. And he's like, yeah, it's time we're going home. And the weird thing is when he said it, I knew when he said it, I got like a calendar, kind of like a vision of a calendar in the dream while I was having it, of the fact that on the Gregorian calendar on May 14th, Israel turned 73, and that's their birthday. And at the same time, I also knew that my oldest son's birthday is May 12th. And then my parents' anniversary coming up, this would have been their 51st anniversary. Well, I still say it's their anniversary. I don't care if my dad's gone, because, I have different thoughts on that. I could ramble on to a rabbit trail on that one. But anyways, my parents' anniversary is May 8th. So I knew that we're in the month of Abib, because this was actually right before this that I had this dream. The month of Abib, which is biblical, if you go read on the Jewish, or at the Jewish feast, of the Lord's feast. If you go read on the Lord's feast and him initiating Passover and the time frame, well, the first month is the month of Abib. And the month of Abib started when there's a slight crescent or a slight part of the moon starts to appear, what they call a new moon. And that would have been April 13th. Well, if you go 10 days from that, which is April the 23rd, which will be this Friday, that's when there was the triumphal entry, when Jesus rode in. And then 4 days later would be Passover, which is when he was crucified. And then 3 days later, he resurrected, which would have been the 17th day of the month. So I know that this was like, you know, around the month of Abib. And this is around Passover time, which, you know, I agree with some other people that I follow on YouTube, you know, pertaining to the rapture and the time frame. And, you know, Jesus, even his first time coming, they knew the day he was going to arrive. And I don't think that, you know, for the bride that we're left out of that whole scenario and we're just clueless, because Paul wrote, he said, "Brethren, I don't need to write to you about times and seasons, for you know perfectly the day." You know, talking about the rapture, talking about the day of the Lord. Because the day of the Lord is going to be two things. The day of the Lord is going to be a reward for those who are watching and who are his. And it's going to be judgment on those who are not his. So when my dad made the comment, he said, yeah, this was the last wedding. This is the last anniversary. This is the last birthday special event. And they have no idea that this was the last time. I knew what he meant because I saw the calendar in my head, you know, pertaining to May on the Gregorian calendar, that the 14th was Israel's birthday, the 12th was my oldest son's birthday, and May 8th was my parents' anniversary. And I'm like, so we're not even going to get to, you know, no more anniversaries, no more weddings, no more birthdays, you know. And he's like, yeah, he goes, this is it, we're out of here. So, yeah, it was pretty bizarre. I usually have dreams that are like that. They just, you know, they're not just random. They're very detailed, even though this one was shorter than most of my dreams. But yeah, time's short. And my encouragement to you is to come to Christ quickly, because I think time's wrapping up. And I think that this whole COVID crap, in my mind, is separating. And I think it's clearly made two different camps. I think we know who's who. I think God's using it because he's always going to use what Satan is, you know, meaning for harm or for evil. You know, he's going to mean for good. And so I feel like that those of us who have been watching, and then those who I think started watching because of, you know, this whole CV thing, and then there are others who just think it's typical, you know, random global issues, but, you know, it's not the case. I think these are just another sign, because when you read Revelation 18, it says that the Antichrist, through the great merchants, the great men, the merchants of the earth, well, I can think of several great men of the merchants of the earth. Microsoft, Bill Gates, who's pushing crap. You know, Jeff, the guy who started Amazon, Bezos, whatever his name is. There are multiple people, you know, Elon Musk. These guys aren't just random people who came into money and power and technology. These guys are the faces, you know, for the elites. They're a part of the strong delusion that's already started. I think it kicked off when Israel became a nation. I think we spent the last 73 years brainwashing people. So, yeah, I mean, I think that time's short. But anyways, Revelation 18 says that, you know, these merchants, these great men of these merchants, they're going to use sorcery, which the Greek for that is pharmakia, which is where we get the word pharmacy in English. And it says that the Antichrist is going to use sorcery. He's going to use pharmakia. He's going to use pharmacy to deceive all nations. It didn't say some. It didn't say a few. It said all nations. He was going to use it to deceive all the nations. So if you know your word, if you know the Bible, then you know that clearly we're coming to the end, the close out. But I also believe that the tribulation is going to bring about the greatest revival, the greatest harvest. And the reason why is because those who aren't watching it and those who aren't his, they've heard other people, they've heard other people's dreams, they've heard people's, testimonies or things they've posted on social media, and they're going to remember. And the minute that we're all gone, they're going to know. And so I think God's always a God of second chances. He's a God of mercy and grace. Even though the grace age will be over, the church age is the grace age. And when that age is over, doesn't mean that he's not a merciful God. Because if he wasn't, we would just go home to heaven, those who are already the bride of Christ. And those the dead of Christ, we would all be raptured and be in our new glorified bodies, and he would just do away with the world. And we would just go to heaven and, go have a big party and forget about it. But that's not the God that I serve anyways. He's a God of mercy and he's a God of grace. And I think he's going to use the tribulation period to bring in the largest harvest that this world has ever seen at one time, because the rapture is going to be a reward for those who are watching, those who are the true bride of Christ. But it's also going to be judgment for those who've been, the unrighteous and doing evil deeds. And then there's going to be those who are going to come to the Lord because they heard people or they had family members like myself who've been warning them and telling them, for a good long time. So I think the Lord has used the past, 20-something years, but I think the last 7 years really hard with things that have been going on in the world, and then, the CV thing now, to warn of what's coming. So, we are the terminal generation, and Israel is the key, and what's going on in Israel right now. So, anyways, if you haven't, this is the time to repent, turn from your wicked ways, come to a God who is full of mercy, full of kindness. Repent of anything that you've been doing, and accept Christ now before it's too late. That's really what the gospel is all about. It's the good news. That's what it means. It's good news. So we're all sinners. I'm still a sinner. I'm in need of Christ every single day, and that's really what salvation's about. Salvation's about being saved from my sins. And when we get pulled out of this miry muck and put in our glorified bodies and transformed, and then we go to heaven and to be with our Father for eternity, that's when we're going to be made perfect, and then we will no longer be a sinner. So I don't condemn anybody, and I came to Christ, and I need him on a daily basis just because I live in a fallen world. So do so now. Don't wait. Time's short. Come to Christ.